Everybody, how you doing? We made it to yet another Wednesday. Thank you so much for coming by. Let me go ahead and authorize this chat. It'll just be one quick second. So here we are, this is like the second live stream in May. Time is really going way too fast for me, guys. I don't know if it's going to slow down, but it just feels like time is just, going at 90 miles an hour with no brakes. I don't know if you guys feel that as well. Let me just continue putting this in. Almost there. And bam. So we okay, there we are. We got Mike and Wendy. How you guys doing? Thank you so much for coming by. So good to see you. Let's see over here. I am just going to very quickly just check my sound here. Okay, sound is bad. Okay, now you guys can hear me. Gloria, so good to see you. How's it going? So we are here, and so that's very exciting. Let me go ahead and just adjust this second camera here just a little bit. Adjust the color. It's a little blue, don't you think? Let me see. Oh, let me see. Just like that. Maybe that's a little better. Okay, maybe raise the saturation. Oh, lower that saturation. Okay, cool. So good to see you, Gloria, Wendy, Mike. So good that you guys are here. Let me see if anyone else I missed. Okay, so that's a very good beginning group already. So here we are. We are in week number 4 of painting this lovely lady, Selena Gomez. As you can see how far we have come. So we're almost at the point where I'm going to go in with some white, but we're not going to just yet. Mike says, I had to clean all his airbrushes. Perfect. I'm so glad the sound is good. Gaston, how you doing? All the way from Europe. Good to see you, my brother. How's everything? So, of course, we have, my favorite airbrush in the world, the Extreme Patriot Arrow. Can't get enough of this guy. It's just amazing. So let's go ahead and fire it up. Remember, when we ever load the airbrush, we always take the artwork far away. Far, far away. So I have a very, very thin solution here. I'm talking like maybe 6 drops of India ink to 20 drops of 20 full eyedroppers of the water. I'm liking a more of a thin mixture lately. It's really weird. So let me go ahead and put some of that in here. So you guys see the mishap that happened over here? If my artwork was there, that would have been a very bad beginning of a live stream. You would have heard a grown man cry. That would not have been good. So let's see. How many eyedroppers ratio? Like 20. I don't know if I got like a weird ink bottle, but I just can't seem to get it light enough when I'm working. So that is like really strange, I know. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the cap on this because I don't want any mishaps. And I'm gonna put this way over there. See that ink? That would have been on the artwork and that would have been tragic. So I'm gonna get this wet paper far away from my artwork. Make sure that my hands don't have any kind of ink on them. And we're just going to, before we even start, we're gonna go ahead and we're going to test out the ink over here. Make sure everything is working correctly. Do some daggers, some dots, some L's. So this airbrush is doing everything I want it to do, so that's pretty cool. So let's see. Oh, Gaston said he just got started with his cat portrait. Oh man, can't wait to see how that comes out. That's fantastic. Wow, Flynn, that's so cool. Okay, so now we're looking pretty good. So, what I like to do is have a very thin mixture, guys. And then what I do is I go ahead and I start just to get reacclimated with the airbrush and the pose. I used to do this when I used to oil paint at the National Academy. And, you know, it's sort of like, you know, reactivating the paint in oil painting. So this is pretty much the same, you know, just getting the airbrush back in shape, sort of going over the whole painting again and getting everything looking good again. So let's say Mike says, yeah, I should have mixed it to intercoat clear. Okay, I'm not sure. That's beyond my expertise, Mike. That's you guys. I'll leave that to you guys. But I heard good things about that stuff. So what I'm doing now is, let me see if I can just lighten this up just a bit. Okay, just trying to get some of the texture in the hair, some of those negative shapes here, some of those just little dark lines. Now I'm working in a very, very light mixture here. And I'm going to do some negative reductive detail, you know, with some erasers in a little bit, and then come in with the white. And as you can see, I'm just developing things, getting things back. Wendy says, Tim, tell us the mixture you're using again. Oh, no problem. So basically, this mixture is actually 6 drops of India ink to 20, and I repeat, 20 eyedroppers, full eyedroppers of water. And that's actually, I think I might have a weird bottle because I never had to go that light before, but I have been going lighter lately. I have been finding in my travels, as with this technique, that just light is right. So the lighter you are, the more control you have, and you can eventually build up to a darker color. Willie, good to see you. How's it going? Always great to see you, my friend. And just, you know, working around, keeping things moving, that's very important. So I think next week's Tim's 2-Minute Tech Tuesday is going to be about freehand shields and how to use them. So that's going to be my next 2-Minute Tech Tuesday, and I think it's going to be very, very. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Zano Nation, good to see you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by, man. So next is going to be my take on freehand shields, how to use it, all that stuff. How I use it, you know, my methods, what I have found, you know, in my experience, what is the best. Now, you see, I'm actually going in at that angle here, that 45-degree angle. And I'm just working on her teeth. And if, you know, if nothing's written in stone, you can always, you know, adjust with the eraser. But I think that's very important for her, you know, her character, her likeness. And I'm just moving around, guys, because I'm just getting back into the, you know, the painting. So I'm not making any big decisions in the first half hour. So whenever you're working, don't make big decisions in the first half hour when you're doing your second, third day, whatever. Just get reacclimated to it, because you don't want to come in cold. You know, that's why a relief pitcher takes about, what, 15 practice pitches before he gets the faces and next batter. And I think the same should be true. You know, don't just jump into it, guys. Ease into it. It's very important. Wendy says, Tim, do you always rock the trigger when working? Most of the time, because two things. It gives you control, and also it creates texture. So let's say, you know, this part of her neck here is in shadow. So I want texture. It's not smooth. So if I'm rocking back and forth, I'm creating texture while I'm putting down tone. Now, what could possibly be the downside to that? Not really. I can always just go ahead and smooth it out if I so wish. But now I have texture, and that's very important. So yes, definitely. It is like on and off. Yes, it's like back, back and forward. Just keeping track of the back and forward as you go, because you don't want to put down tone when you don't want it. So right here, I can see. So see, I'm going to do that. Rocking the trigger back and forth, and you see I created not only the finger coming forward, but some texture as well. So that's something you want to always, and then always wipe off your freehand shield. And remember, you guys are getting my freehand shield 2-Minute Tech Tuesday early, because I never go parallel to this freehand shield. I always go perpendicular. Very important. Because if you go up and down, you're going to create this line, and that's not going to look natural. But if you go perpendicular, you're going to have, you're going to have that nice separation. You're going to feel like things are going forward and things are backward, which is perfect. Wendy says, I like that one. It looks like the one I saw. Yes, this is called the dinosaur one, I believe. Very cool. I don't use it too often. Maybe toes, stuff like that. Fingers, but not too often. Okay, so we just moving around. So what's the color like? Is it too light or too dark? Let me know, guys, when you get a chance. I'm gonna very quickly see if I could see my. Now I'm looking. Okay, here, so I can actually go ahead, which is really cool. So look at this, guys. I'm going to show you. This is like a picture and a picture and a picture. So I'm going to go to this camera. So here we go. You see me, right? Now watch this. I can come over here, and now you can see my TV looking at me, which is really pretty cool. And so you can see the tape delay and everything, which is interesting. So now I can monitor what I'm doing with my TV on the floor there. So I thought that was pretty cool. Working on the tech, guys. Just working on the tech, trying to get this whole thing down. Trying to be the best live stream in airbrush out there. Okay, so we're back here. I'm just going to make sure that the sound is correct. Yes, and then here. Okay, cool. And let's see, Wendy says, looks good for my computer. Still no SOTAR 2020. I'm really bumming out, but that's what a back order does. Sorry to hear that, Mike. That's a bummer. Mike showed me a painting he was working on. Very nice. It was beautiful, beautiful piece. And Willie says, you already are, Tim. Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Gloria says, amazing setup. Thank you. I appreciate that, Gloria. As always, you're the best. And what I'm going to do is just work on some detail here, like right here in her eye. We're getting closer to the end of this painting, a lot closer than I thought we were going to be by last week. I did do some work off camera just to catch up, working on this hair here. I think that would have made for a bad live stream. So I went ahead and did a lot of the leg work, the heavy lifting of her hair. But as you can see, I'm just building it up. Gaston says, Tim, I noticed one thing. Somehow it helps me a lot to do the eyes first, because the eyes make the portrait come alive and gives it a personality. Without the eyes, it's nothing. Very true. The eyes are everything, especially in a portrait. How I work, Gaston, is I don't finish the eyes, but I always keep the eyes one step ahead of everything else. So the eyes are always more detailed than everything else, but never too far ahead of everything else, because I want to work everything together. If I finish the eyes before everything else, then I won't know if I went too dark or too light, or how, I don't know exactly how I will emphasize them. But if I work them all together with just the eyes a little bit ahead of everything else, it just seems like I get a much more unified image, more painting like the ensemble Gaston. But you are so right, is the eyes always is the feature. That's the star of the portrait. So I agree there, definitely. And just going ahead and just hitting some of the those little soft, subtle lines at the corner of her mouth there. And that gives a lot to her likeness. And just keeping things moving around. Let's see, what else? Mike says, I dumped that painting, Tim. That was just to try. No, it was really nice. So it was a very good effort, Mike. Definitely. Let's see. Wendy says, plus they are my favorite. And Wendy says, Tim does the best lips and mouth. Thank you. I appreciate that. Eyes and lips moving. Loving it, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's just keeping things moving. And what I'm going to do is we are going to probably start coming in with the dark accents a little bit. So I'm just going to continue a little bit more just to get some of the kinks out. Let me see if I lighten it just a hair. There we go. Let me see how that looks on the live stream. If it's too light. It's good I have a DSLR set up so I can actually lighten and darken it, which is really good, Okay, I like that. I can see on my monitor it's a little lighter, so I do like that. Thanks, Wendy. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our mono eraser. Now, all the supplies that I use are in the description field of this video, so you can go ahead and purchase them from Amazon.com, and the airbrush you can purchase from USAairbrush.com too. And I put in the code so you can actually save 10%, so that's really nice. So you see, I'm just building that hair, and that's what's really important, just building it up. And I haven't even come in with the dark accents. That's going to happen later down the line. Mike S says, Tim does a great job when the eyes say, come here, and the lips say, thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate that. Thank you. So just basically coming back and forth. A lot of these hairs are actually going to disappear when I come in with the dark accents, Wendy says it looks great, Tim. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that, as always. And let's keep everything there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, that was just getting acclimated, and I'm going to keep this one loaded, which is my Extreme Patriot Arrow. And I'm going to go ahead and fire up the Sotar 2020 Slim, and we're going to do the dark accents. So let's go ahead and take young Selena over here. We're going to take that messy paper over here, and then we're going to get a new cup, as long as I can find the cups. Now, where are they? I go through those plastic cups like you wouldn't believe, guys. Unbelievable how much I go through it. Be right back. It literally, like how much I go through those cups is unbelievable. Thank God they sell 50 of them for like $3 at Walmart. Otherwise, I would go broke. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our Higgins Waterproof India Ink. Has to be the waterproof. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do an 8 and 6. See how that is. That's going to be very dark, guys. It's going to be very, very dark. My guest says, I can't paint like Tim, but I can make people laugh. Ah, you're a good artist there, Mike. And you can make people laugh too. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going to be a pretty dark mixture, but we're basically doing dark accents with our Sotar 2020 Slim. Alright, now, see that? Now let's go ahead and fire up the other hose. So here's my second hose. Now one hose I have a freehand shield on, and another hose, not a freehand, but a Mac valve on. I don't want to use that one. I want to use this one here because I already have a Mac valve on the Sotar. Very cool. So what I'm going to do is I always load the Sotar with this. I never pour it in there because, you know, you don't want to overflow. And I only put 2 drops in. 1, 2. And you'd be surprised how long 2 drops actually lasts. Okay, so we're going to put this far over here. And let's go ahead and test this bad boy out. You see how much darker this is from, let me lower the aperture. So you can see how much darker this is from this. Much darker. What I love about Badger airbrushes is they start working right away. You know, they really do. They really start working. My guest says, I've been filtering that Pro Art ink through coffee filters to take the clumps out. Very smart. I like that idea. And Gaston had the best idea too, you know, about the clumps. So you both guys are doing really well helping me, you know, with solutions. Okay, so I'm going to just park my Extreme Patriot over here so it's out of the way, and let's go ahead and bring back Selena. And now we're going to start working some dark accents. Let's raise that aperture once again. There we go. And the Pro Art is really good. I love Pro Art ink, but you're right, it's very thick. So that's something that, you know, leaves a little bit to be desired. That's why I gave it a B, you know, in my review. So what do you guys think of, oh yes, the nylons is perfect too, you know, Gaston. I gotta try that. I saw Gaston do that, and that was amazing. So now we're coming in with some really deep darks. Much richer, and what it's going to do is going to actually start lifting the midtones. And we'll see that the midtones are actually too light, and we can actually make them richer. So what we're doing now is we're looking for those really dark areas, those accents. Remember, perpendicular, guys. And you see how we can really pull things forward by pushing things back. So right here we can just move things around, pushing and pulling. There we go. And that's going to really help us with volume. So one of the things I did find with your freehand shield, if you can, you know, when you have some downtime, is to go ahead and Windex them with a paper towel and keep them clean in between, because they will get paint and ink on them. And it's always best to keep things as clean as possible. Yes, I did. I did mention your technique last week, Gaston. And, you know, with the nylons and everything. So that was really helpful when you told me that. Thank you so much for that, sir. Okay, so see I'm coming in with dark accents over here. And when you go in perpendicular with it, you are actually getting more control. Now what I can do is actually come in with her chin here, and we could even deepen some of these darks here. I'm at a pretty low air pressure, and that's why things aren't blowing around so crazy on me. And this seemed to get a little soft here. I'm going to come back and revisit that, you know. There we go. I just had the little manual over there. And then over here, even though the values are pretty close, it is a hard edge. So I'm going to look for that hard edge here. If I don't find it in this freehand shield, I'll look in another. Usually you can find the, you know, the free part of the freehand shield that will work. And then here we have a real hard edge right here. On her fingers. So we definitely want to make sure that when we do the dark accents that we keep the edges both hard and soft where it is. Gaston says, Tim, freehand shields can easily be cut with a plotter from Mylar. Definitely. Yes. That's very true. A lot of people have done that. You know, a friend of mine made these for me, which is fantastic. You know, I'm so appreciative of that. I want to get a plotter one day. I always wanted one, but I never got around to it. They are a little pricey. Even the less expensive ones are like $500, but I would love to get a hold of one. So you can see as I'm just working around with this darker color, it's actually bringing everything up much lighter, meaning I'm going to be able to make my midtones even richer and create like just a more three-dimensional feel. Willie says, Gaston, I tried that just this week and it worked out very well. Very cool. That's very cool. Freehand shields can be easily made from Mylar or photo paper. No need to spend a lot of money for it. Very good tip, guys. Very good tip. Yes, freehand shields are just, to me, are, you know, what really separate airbrush from other mediums. I mean, without the correct use of freehand shields, you're really losing a lot of the advantages of the medium of airbrush. And one of the biggest advantages are the hard and soft edges. I feel that is really, I have my Kneaded Eraser here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some really, now you don't want to use any other eraser because I think it would be too hard. With the Kneaded Eraser you can just tap it and you can pull up some of that ink. You see that? Same thing over here. We have a little bit of some fine finesse details over here. And you know, then you can say, okay, we need a little stronger, so we can come in with our mono eraser and pull that out. These little things at the end are really, really what's gonna make it look like the model. But that only happens when you're not worrying about it look liking her, not worrying about it to have a likeness, and just going right, just continue with the process of working from light to dark and not going ahead of yourself and not putting in detail before it's ready. All those different things are so important. Mike S says, I made shields from cardboard, then put the stick on Mylar and plastic cover them. Very cool. Gaston says, no, the Silhouette Cameo ain't expensive. Wow, only $1.99. That's not bad. Yeah, that's actually something to think about. Thanks, guys. That's actually very affordable. You got to be careful when you have this richer color because this, this darker mixture. You just want to make sure you don't go into areas where you'll go too dark too fast. Remind yourself when you have this dark mixture that you're only doing dark accents, okay? That's very important. Now let's go ahead and continue. Now right here we have, here's something good to know about freehand shields. Now you're not going to be able to hit that. You have round and you have straight, but you can crawl along the surface here. So I'll show you. So you can just go there, move up, crawl along, move up, crawl along the surface. When you do a couple, you want to make sure that you wipe it off because you will reposition ink or paint. So you don't want to do that. And then we're just going to crawl along the surface. And you see that? It's as if we had a straight line. So it's just crawling along with the freehand shield is very, very important. Okay, so let's go ahead. And so down here we have some, let's see. So down here we have some hard edges we can hit with the dark accent. Let's get our favorite over here. This one I use like 99% of the time. Bradley, good to see you. How's it going? So cool. Thank you so much for coming by. So, and I'm going to lower the air pressure a little bit. Okay. So we're just moving along here. Same thing over here. And you see what we're doing is we're actually bringing that hand forward by putting in those darks. And then we're going to do the adjacent finger. And you see what a nice compliment the Sotar Slim is with the Badger Patriot 2020. I'm sorry, the Badger Extreme Patriot Arrow. They are the best 1-2 punch, I think. It would be very similar to, let's say, the Custom Micron and the Eclipse, but saving like $400 in the process. So that's why I definitely would go with Badger. That's for sure. Okay, so we're going to continue with our dark accents, pushing everything together, and as we go darker here, we'll see that the midtones lighten up, which is very good. I'm glad everything's going well, Bradley. Thank goodness. Okay, so let's go ahead and just continue hitting some of these dark accents here and there. And you see that really works well. And I'm actually going to come back real quick with the light mixture in my Extreme Patriot Arrow. And we'll just hit this light right next to it. It's nice to have a 2 airbrush setup going on. Rick, good to see you. How's everything? Oh, today you're in Hobbs, New Mexico. Very cool. 2,000 miles from home. Oh, man. How's everything going? Are you doing okay? Actually, I just sold a painting in New Mexico this week to Alamo Gordo. Is that near you right now, Alamo Gordo? I just shipped a painting there not too long ago, like the other day. Santa Fe, wow. Pretty soon we're coming up to the real fun part, guys, and that's the white accents. Bradley says, not a lot, Willie, just home from my art group. Very cool. Those are very cool. You know, those art groups, they're really very inspiring, right, Bradley? Are there any airbrush people? I'm sure you're inspiring people, Bradley, to do airbrush. They see your work. The important thing right now is try and keep everything subtle. Wendy says, no, Alamogordo is close to Cloudcroft, where I was for spring break. We hung out there and was coming from there when we got stuck. Oh, man. Yeah, Wendy, that's where I just sold a painting. It's actually going to arrive tomorrow. You know, with my tracking. So you can see just those little dark accents, how it's sort of brought everything much lighter. Alamogordo is close to white sand. So cool, yeah. Willie says, Bradley, that is as close as I get to that. Bradley says, no, his group, they are oil painters and they are amazed by the airbrush. I've tried to let them, all you all know, to use it at once or twice and they act like it's magic or something. You know what it is? It's so true. People get nervous of the compressor and the mechanics of it. But I'll tell you, you know, airbrush is for a select group of people because you have to be crazy to want to continue trying to take air and paint and trying to make something out of it. I mean, it's a long time to get a handle of this thing, am I right? I think it's the hardest medium to actually master. But you gotta love it. And if you do love it, it doesn't matter. Like Gaston, he loves it. Willie, Rick, Wendy, you know, everyone, all you guys really love it. That's why you guys are here. And it's just a lot of fun. And Bradley says, sorry about the fat finger typing, no problem. And then right here, we'll just see if we could just put a little detail in that fingernail bed there. Same thing here. Just a little bit. Nothing crazy. There we go. And then right here, let's put... Now I have the other airbrush, so this is the lighter mixture. Just in case you guys weren't following. Now right here, I kind of like the way the skin sort of bunched up here under that finger. Goes down and over, and then we could go ahead and, you know, just really describe the forms, the folds in those fingers. And of course we want that thumb, you know, where that crease is, we want it to turn, right? So we're going to put a little shadow. See that? So we really feel. And let's just add a little crease in the center. Just something to give that really feel like the thumb is moving in space. Let's see. So Heath, how you doing? Good to see you. Gaston says you really should build yourself a Sotar 100 side feed airbrush. If you invest a few bucks in 3 or 4 cups, you can easily switch between colors and between ink and viscosities. It's amazing. Gaston actually built this Sotar 100 side feed airbrush. It's literally amazing. The thing is just a thing of beauty. And one of these days you got to do a video of how you did it. I think it's fantastic. So Heath, how's it going? Good to see you, man. Thank you for stopping by, as always. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the white pastel on the eyes, and then we'll see what we want to do from there. So I'm just looking for my white pastel and my stump dedicated to white right here. There's another technique I wanted to show you guys, is that you can actually use sandpaper and then build the white pastel here and then pull it off of here and then go in that way. So that's something I have been working on. So let me see if I can find my pencil sharpener. And we're just going to go in with the white at this point. Steve, how's it going? Good to see you. Steve says, wow, it looks great, almost done. She's looking good. Thank you. I appreciate that so much, Steve. So, okay, so on live TV, I'm having trouble sharpening this, but we're going to show caution to the wind here, and I do see what happened. Okay, so, all right, now let's go ahead, try this again. So the thing is, you have to have a really good point. It's very important. And it seems like I'm having a hard time with that right now. Hey Bill, how's it going? Good to see you. Okay, so we are having a little difficulty. Let's see if I have another white pastel pencil. If not, we're going to do plan B. There's always plan B, guys, so don't worry. Always plan B. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try this one more time, and then if that doesn't work, I just have to go to the other studio and get some of a regular pastel and just use it that way. I've been a pastel painter for like 20-something years, so I have no problem getting pastel on the surface if this pencil doesn't work. Okay. All right, we are back in business, guys. So cool, so cool. Okay, now we have the sandpaper. If you can't get a good point, you can always go like this with any pastel, whether pastel pencil or what have you, and you can get a really nice point this way. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and hit some of these highlights right here, just like that. There we go. Really just make her eyes like water. There we go. Just the littlest thing, it's just so amazing. The slightest little detail really brings it up. With this technique, it really comes together. Oh, cool. Gaston says it's very easy to do, to make his, individual side feed Sotar 100. Very cool. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and just make sure we put just enough white pastel for those highlights there. You don't want to go crazy. The same way I apply the ink with the airbrush is the same way. Steve says, perfect. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Bill says, well, just meant to get the video out, sold the painting, did some motorcycles. Very cool. Very, very cool. So you see, I'm taking it from here with the stump, and I'm just repositioning it on the painting. Now I always like doing the eyes first, because it's always like a ooh, ah moment, right? I love it. I never get tired of it, when she just comes together. you know, whatever portrait I'm doing, when you come in with that, with the white, it just really, then I really realize, you know, why I go through this, all this for this technique. It's that that end result. I don't like the fact that I'm putting my hand all over here, so let's go ahead and cover this. You don't want to reposition oils from your hand onto the surface of your painting, especially at the end, right guys? So this is not like white pastel. This, you know, when you do it this way, it's like drawing with white, you know? Always make things easier for yourself. The pastel, Steve, is the, you can't see, it's so small. Pitt Pastel makes the white pastel pencil, and there I think I do have him in his prescription field. He says she's looking pretty hot. Thank you so much. Let's see here. I am just going to pull this over. You don't want to overdo here because we have a nice strong white over here, but not so much on this side. And you want to pay attention to that. You know, relationships everywhere are so important. And I'm just dabbing. See that? And you know, it looks little powerful right now, but that's okay, because, you know, like anything else, you just build out the shapes. And then you just grab some pastel from here with the sandpaper, and then you just continue. That is a little strong, but that's okay because we haven't done the other parts. So when we do, like anything else, don't worry about it looking like her, guys. Just continue with the program, you know? Just continue, you know? Rick says, hey Tim, question, since you're the only artist I know who makes a living at it without talking about money, would you say you make an okay living, a good living, a seam living? No, it's a very rough living. It's not easy. It's sort of, you know, it's rough, you know. It's a lot of hard work, and it doesn't always pay off, but you do it because you love it. And, you know, it's funny because I used to have a regular job, and that regular job went south, and I thought I had all this experience and everything, but it seems like the regular job, which I used to back up my art, has gone away, and now my art is the only thing that's keeping me going financially. So sometimes you become a full-time artist, you know, on accident. You know, I'd rather have a regular job and make that good money, but now the art is it, you know, this is everything. So, you know, never, you know, I think the money's going to come. You know, that's what I do, work hard, and I do believe that I do have something to offer, and I think it's going to grow with my YouTube channel, videos that I'm going to sell and everything. I'm working on an online store, so all those things, you know, you have to believe in what you're doing too, Rick. But it's going to be lean times, that's for sure, and it's really rough. And I don't know if anyone's really making a killing as far as being a painter. Not until you hit that echelon. Either you're teaching and you have a school, that's different. But if you're living off your artwork, even if you're like a big shot artist, you know, I know no one is really basking in the glory without having some other form of income. So at this point, I'm actually looking for like a little part-time job will be good, and I'm going to be teaching more, stuff like that. But it is really rough. That's, but it's, you do it because you love it, right? And that's why I do it, because I love it, and I've been working at it my whole life, and now it seems like it's the way to make a living, and weird, yeah. But it is scary. It is scary making money on your art. Bill says it's a rare artist who makes it with one income stream. Yes, you do have to, you got to get creative. And I think anything, if you are working, your art is like your own business, and you have to have different income streams. You have to have different things going. And if one thing is slow, at least you have another thing going. And, you know, and what I would say to someone who isn't a full-time artist right now is to build your business now. Build your side hustle, whatever that is, and just keep at it. So you don't make a lot of money now, but you build that while you have another job, and then maybe that side hustle, your art, can actually turn into something really fantastic. Maybe it could be your full-time, so definitely do that, Rick. Just work on your side hustle, whether it be a YouTube channel or teaching locally or what have you. But definitely work on that now, because there's going to be a time where your art's going to be your only income. So as you can see, I'm building some of those lights now. My guess is I like the eyelash trick. I tried it with photo paper. Okay, so what exactly is the eyelash trick? That's interesting. So I'm just going to keep moving around. Okay, so right here we have a nice payoff here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull this out. Let's see if I can do this with the actual pastel pencil. And I'm just tapping. See that? I'm just tapping with the white pastel. Why the white pastel and not ink? Because we're working with paper, and let's take advantage of every advantage we have, whatever we're working on. There's disadvantages to working on paper from, let's say, board, but there are advantages, and you want to make sure that you grab those advantages. You know what I mean? Heat says, that's my plan, Tim. My full-time job takes up so much time, then I get home tired. I try and paint weekends. Hey, Heath, that's great. Keep it going. Keep going. Keep up the good fight. As you can see, I'm gonna hit those accents here, those reflections on her lower eyelid. And her upper eyelid, maybe just accentuate that just a little bit. Just a little bit here in her eye here. Give some translucency. Then I can take this one. This is a hard edge, and remember, this is a fabric pen Fons and Porter. You don't have much erasability or blending with this, so make sure you make this one count wherever you're going to put it. So here's where you do your real succinct, where you're going to put it and keep it. You're not going to be able to adjust, but you're going to get a real nice fine white here, and you'll be able to really nail that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Let's go ahead and do a large area. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the white pastel here. And I'm just going this part of her skull, the orbital ridge. that comes out. So that's what we're going to be working on right now. So if you see a forehead, guys, don't look at the forehead and say forehead straight. Don't do that. You want to make sure that you are catching the anatomy. You have to see things that others won't. They're not going to notice why it's realistic, but why it's realistic because the forehead's going to look like a real forehead with the anatomy correct. Okay, so now we have that. Then we could take our stump. Let's get rid of some of the pastel that's on it. And then we're just going to rub that in. Now, the more you rub it in, the more it's going to go away. So if you just rub it in lightly, you're going to get a lot of that white, and you're going to get a lighter value. But what we're doing, we're getting a subtle difference of the orbital ridge that is catching the light from above. And you see that now all of a sudden things are starting to come together. Things are really happening as far as, really feeling things come forward and go back, but in a subtle way, not in the dark accents and the mid-tone. These are within the lights and the bright lights, not even the highlights yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on making this nose a little more powerful, because the value of the nose is a little lighter than what's going on here. This is where relationships come out, and it's so important, guys. You want to make sure that you're catching the subtle relationships. You can only do that by bringing everything together at the same time. So now we're at a point where we can actually go ahead and start pulling up some of the areas that are just a little bit more forward than other areas. So right now where the nose is a little more forward than her cheeks, and we're actually hitting on that right now. So you see that, and this is where things start happening. And let's see. That's true. Bill says, as artists, we see things that others don't. Mike S. says, Wendy, start doing live full nudes. That will get you drive up. That will get something up. Oh my goodness. Oh boy, that would be, that would be a scandalous. And then we're just going to, over here, just a little bit more of a powerful light, but we also got to see where you're going a little too far, right? You don't want to go too far, so you want to keep things reined in, Gaston says, if life's a song, then it's one MFing headbanging deathcore song for me. That's funny, Gaston. Live full male nudes. Oh my goodness. That would be interesting. I know that would gain a following. So I really like the way that, just by adding in the white pastel, since we built in the lights and the midtones and the dark, then the really brighter lights are really coming together. Now, this is something I want you to look at. Okay, so right now, both these cheeks are just as bright, but it can't be because the light source is coming from above and from this side. So just by the laws of nature, this cheek has to be a little bit lighter than this one. So that's, if I went ahead and just worked on this, it would be too late, and you're not going to see relationships. But now we can see relationships because we have everything coming up in the same way. Bill says, oh man, here we go. Tim's rated live stream is extra R-rated live stream. Oh man. Let's see. So we are just going to go ahead and just rub that in. So we're taking the pastel from here and we're just repositioning it on our painting, guys. You guys are funny. Let's see. We're just going to move this over. There we go. And let's go ahead and work on the other side here. And just really, right now, we're really shaping the light. And you can see how her likeness is really just popping off now. Popping off of the screen. And it's nice when this starts to happen. So right here we have this mid-tone here, but you know, no mid-tone is a solid tone. There's always things going on within those shapes. Now right there, way too powerful. Like, oh my God, what do I do, right? It's just, you can lift the pastel by tapping it with a Kneaded Eraser, and that will lift the pastel. So, and then what we do is we'll remove some of this pastel from here, and then we'll go back to the business of lightly putting in the value within that shape. Same thing here on this side. There we go. So as you can see, things are really starting to work together, and that's a nice thing. And you know, you don't want to forget about the rest of the painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work down here, and then, you know, this is the initial pass of the white pastel. Then I'm going to actually come in and start working on the hands, then go back into the midtones, and then more dark accents for next week. We might be able to finish it today, but I'm not going to rush it. That's something you don't want to do. So we're working down, right? As the light, it moves down from the side. You want that sort of, you know, the cut of the light, which is very important. So what I'm going to do, the light is moving down to her lips. Go, and then, and don't look at it as, you know, look at what the light is doing, but don't look at it like, you know, what has to be logical. Just record what you're seeing, but try and understand what you're seeing at the same time, but don't try and fill in the blanks. If the light looks weird, put it down, then decide, you know, if you want to change it. I'm just tapping, using all the pastel that's left on there. Okay. And I'm going to move down the chin. But all this, it's coming together because of all the hard work in weeks 1, 2, and 3. Always draw, always look at relationships. You know, what's the space between this highlight and the bottom of this lip? Where is the apex? Is it in the center line? Sometimes it's not. People are not always symmetrical. And so you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that. Even though it's logical that this would be, the apex would be in the center. you know, in the center of this head. It's not necessarily the case. It is in this painting, but you definitely want to, you know, make sure you're paying attention to what's happening. That goes in. It might not be logical, but you're still going to, you know, not fill in the blanks. If it is off center, then go ahead and put it off center. Pull up some more of that pastel. And don't worry, you put too much in, like I said, you can always erase that. Okay. And I'm going to calm that down a little bit. But you see how the pastel really works very well, reacts very well with any overspray that's underneath. Actually uses it. And kind of has like a very painterly look to it. Remember what I said about, you know, a value like this? It's very rare that you're just going to have this one value shape. There's going to be a lot of things going on within that shape, and you want to see that, you want to notice it, and you want to record it. And let's see. And Rome wasn't built in a day, so don't try and make everything, you know, perfect the first time around. You're going to go back in. So you don't want the head to be too far ahead of the rest of the painting here, the hands and then the hair. So you want to make sure that you bring things up together. So that's why we're going to come in with the fingers right now. We're going to start with this finger and we're going to work around. So we're going to look at value relationships. So this finger is probably as light as over here, this fingernail. So we're just going to very lightly get that fingernail that very light color. And that's also going to de-emphasize everything, just bring everything together. Things are going to start coming together slowly. So it's 10:30, so it looks like we lost the, we always do that. So let me go ahead. Intermission time, I have some coffee. So does anyone know Selena Gomez? Maybe she can watch our live stream. That would be nice. I would love that. She should see this portrait that we're doing of her. Let me see. So I'm just going to reauthorize the chat as I do every week. Almost there, guys. Hey Willie, it's our nightly 10:30 ritual, huh? 10:30, right? That's when it always happens. So who's Gaston? Have a good night, man. It's good to talk to you. Always. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I can't wait to see the video. So Gloria, you're having a good night. Take care. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate that. And who else? Bradley says my wife is making 4 cheesecakes as, wow, that's pretty cool. Oh man, that sounds amazing. So cheesecake is really good. I'm on this diet lately. Everyone who knows me knows I've been on a diet since February 22nd. It's going to be until June, so have some cheesecake for me, man. I really can't partake, unfortunately, but I am going to. once June hits. So I lost almost all the weight that I want to lose, and so now I'm at the point where I can, you know, start exercising more, going to the gym, lifting some weights, pumping iron, so to speak. Hey Rapunzel, how you doing? Stefan, always good to see you. So as you can see, I'm just working on that finger there, and I'm able to go ahead to shape the light and actually, you know, help the form of the finger there. There's a subtle light changes here and there. And like I said, this is the first pass, and then we're going to go over again with the airbrush. And I am a starving artist, literally. In my garret, Willie, that's it. Wendy says, hey, I could find models at the gym, definitely. That's for sure. Bradley says, my wife smokes those Cheesecake Factory ones. She's making Black Forest fried apple. Oh my God, Bradley, your wife is amazing. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and see if we can work on this nail bed here. Always look at the relationships between one nail to the next. And that's when you can see whether you're going too light or too dark. Like a domino, if one area is too light or too dark, it's going to cause a domino effect and everything is going to be off. So always look at your relationships. So as you can see, I'm not pulling one area in, you know, I'm moving around because I want the fingers, the hands to be, you know, just one step behind the eyes there. There we go. I can see a little overzealous with this nail bed here. I can calm that down a little bit. Then I can take my, now this, if I'm going to use this, guys, I'm definitely got to make sure that it's something that I'm going to keep. So, because this doesn't erase or blend well. So you see, I just went ahead and did that because I know I'm going to keep that line, that white there, just to give a little shape. There we go. Now let's go ahead and move around, and let's see. Then I'm going to work on the corner of this finger here. So, you know, you want to see where the light is really hitting all over. My head just hit the camera. Go. So, you know, even though those fingers look good before, look how much better we are now that we're coming in with that white. So right now you can see I'm just laying in some of that white pastel, and I'm just sort of blending that in. Go. Now, just by going in and you know, hitting some of these whites here, you notice how the backhand really starts to fall behind. That's how it all is supposed to work together. If I went ahead and just like worked on this hand and finished it, then worked on this hand, that's the wrong way to do it. It might be the airbrush way to do it, but this is the painter's way to do it. You want to create an ensemble. You don't want to do an eyeball, a nose, a mouth. That's how billboard painters paint. You don't want to do that. You want to work it together. You want to create the ensemble, okay? So make sure that you do that, because then you're able to see relationships. How else am I going to see whether this fingernail is a little bit lighter than this fingernail? I wouldn't be able to see it if I was working that way. And how can I pull this hand forward if I don't know, the relationship between that hand and this hand? Steve says, I like this pastel technique. I'm going to use it in the future. Wow, that's great. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, let me know. Yeah, you'll be surprised how much the pastel and the ink go together. It's almost like they were made for each other there, Steve, definitely. And I'm just going to continue working back and forth. We're going back in with the airbrush, but right now we are just pulling out some of those lights, because remember earlier we went ahead and hit some of those dark accents. Now we can go ahead and hit some of those lights, then hit even darker, and then come in with the highlights, and we're as good to go. It's done. Wendy says, I loved it when I moved around. Everything finished so quickly. I don't know why I haven't tried that before. Yes, do not do the billboard painting technique of an eye, a nose, a mouth, and as all of a sudden it comes together. That's like almost like the YouTube way to do it. You don't want to do that. You want to build it together, create the ensemble, make it look like it was done as if it's at the same time. That's what John Augusto Dominique Angra says. Steve says, does that paper have some tooth to it? Definitely. This is by De La Rowney. It's gunmetal. It is a Canford cardstock. It has some smoothness, but some tooth. So when you put in the airbrush, it really absorbs it, and it doesn't absorb it to the fact where you can't erase it. It's very erasable. The only thing is when you put in the white India ink, it doesn't erase. So you have to be very careful at that stage. And of course, the white India ink is in the early stage. One of the first things that we do. So I'm going ahead and hitting this highlight here on this tendon on her knuckle. And I just love the way that sort of brings things together. We haven't even gone into the second hand. We can even let that second hand go without putting much detail, maybe some highlights here. I want to make that hand go back, right? I don't want the both hands to be in the same plane, so I kind of like that. I might keep it. Wendy says, how is the Canson? Don't know yet. That's going to be the next project. We're going to be working on that paper, Wendy, so it's going to be very cool. It's going to be enlightening for all of us. And I'm hopeful that it's gonna work out. So I want it to work. Canson's really cool. They sent me that paper, so we're gonna do a very good review on our live stream here. Like I said, don't worry about having everything come together all at once. Rome is not built in a day, nor is a painting. So you would just, beginning the introduction of the white, and then you're going to model the form. And let's see, Bradley says 1 tequila, 2 tequila, strict tequila. What are you guys talking about? Margaritas and tequila? Uh-oh. Cinco de Mayo. If I missed your comment, just know that it's because I have been moving around. Jerry says I found some gunmetal at Jerry's, but it's bigger. It was 25 sheets. Very cool. That's fantastic. Yeah, get the gunmetal when you can, because I don't know if they're making it anymore, guys. That's for sure. Let's see. And you can see we're just modeling form right now. We're bringing everything together. And see how that's a little powerful, and we just rub that out, and we can just rub that value darker. I know how to manipulate pastel. Like I said, I've been a pastel painter since the 80s. So that's really my forte. So it's good, this technique, because it comes out of my knowledge of both pastel, drawing, and then of course the airbrush. So it's a combination of all my strengths. Like we said, we're going to work on this hand. We worked on the head, this hand. Then we're going to move on over to the hair. Bring everything together, make sure. And also, as we're pulling these fingers forward, you can see that we are actually having her chin come forward and her neck area go back, which is very cool. Now, the thing is never to have a rush, that's for sure. You always want to take your time. And we could go ahead and fix that right there. And you don't want the white, when you add the white to the pastel, you definitely don't want to, you don't want to find the white of, you don't want to use the white, I should say, as an afterthought. You want it to be part of the process of modeling the forms. Bill says he's still waiting to find his strengths. Bill, you have a lot of strengths. You just have to find what your strength that you feel is. But you have a lot. Which one you're going to really focus on, perhaps. But you have a plethora of strengths there, sir. Let's see if we could move this around here. And then we can actually work on the anatomy of that finger. As you can see, as I'm moving around, that her face is not looking so stark in detail, and actually sort of brings it back and lets us know that we can actually put more detail in the face. That's why I see a lot of paintings where things sort of run out of gas, where like everything is so darn tight, and then the hand is all loose, like they ran out of gas. And it's not like a conscious effort, like, oh, okay, I'm leaving the hand loose because I'm thinking of how Manet painted back in the 1800s or something like that. No, you just ran out of gas. So you don't want to run out of gas. You want to keep thinking of the whole thing. If you're playing chess, you want to look at the whole chessboard. Otherwise, you're going to lose pretty fast. So same thing, you want to look at the whole painting as you're working. And So Bill says, I'm just so I go from style to style. I'm not good at sticking to one. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Then right here, we have a little bit of a highlight here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to deposit more of our white pastel here. I want to make sure I hit on the outer edge of this finger here. It's going to help describe the light and sort of give a unified feeling, like this hand is in the same vicinity as the way the light is hitting Selena's face. And let's see, I should have started up again where I left off, skulls, reapers, flames, and other stuff, my guest says, but the challenge of portrait was way too much for me to pass up. Yes, in Western art, the human form is the highest form of art, you know, way back to the Greeks and the Romans, the Renaissance, 19th century French academics. You know, the human form is the epoch. So that's why I love it. It's the biggest challenge for me, and you know, nothing challenges me like it. And we're going to move back, but so we're going to go back in, but at least now we are, so okay, so here's something to look at. You see here, you see how you have the wrinkle line there of Selena's wrist? So let's go ahead where you see the wrinkle is going to be a corresponding light. You see that? That's going to give some form. It's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be kind of crooked. And then we could make it really thin. And then to even make it a little more realistic, we can take our very light mixture here. So where there's a highlight, there's usually a corresponding dark. So you see that, really pull that out. And then maybe we could, I mean, I'm doing a real fine line here, guys. You see that? Now that really looks realistic. So that's something that you can always do. When you see a light like that, when you see a wrinkle, there's a highlight on the other side of that wrinkle, which is opposite of the light, and you can pull that out. So always look for that. Same thing here. You're going to see a more subtle light here. And then here you have all kinds of little detail in that shadow area. Remember, here are shouts with detail in the light area. In the shadow area, there's still detail. However, there are whispers. So you want to hit these little whispers. You see that? Little tiny whispers. There's still value changes, but they're so close, right? And that's what you want to hit. Willie says, Tim, it's really looking wonderful. Thank you, Willie. I appreciate that. That's so much. Thank you. And Mike says, Tim, you never seen a photo of me. There is nothing like art in the way I look. You don't want to paint my old puss. You never know, man. It's looks are only skin deep, I guess, you know. We all, we all look the same without the skin. Ugh, gross, right? So pretty scary. Wendy says she wants her hair. Very funny. And you have nice hair, Wendy. And Bill says the last one was my son's. Even the bike I'm working on swapping the labor out. Oh, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and continue this. Okay, so you see here, I want to hit some of these more whispers here. Even though this is in shadow, I want that thumb to appear three-dimensional. So I'm just going to model the form, but the values between the light and dark are going to be very close. That's the difference between modeling the form in the shadows as opposed to modeling the form in the lights. Modeling the form in the lights, you're going to have a disparity, a large difference, guys, between the lights and darks. You're going to see that turning. However, in the shadows, you're still going to see turning, but it's going to be within a smaller value scale. So that's why we're going to show you how we could make this thumb look like it's three-dimensional in shadow, because the value scale, the difference in the value scales are much closer than, let's say, having your brightest white to the darkest dark and in between. But here you only have maybe from a number 8 to a number 10 in a grayscale, from 1 to 10, 10 being black. So you see how you can do that. I hope that helps. I think that's a really good lesson to know, is how to do those details in the shadow area and still make it look, hey Steve, man, have a good night. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and thank you for all the great compliments and everything like that, and always love your work, Steve, and I'll be seeing you on Facebook. That's so cool. Steve's a very talented artist over there. So guys, I'm approaching 200 videos, I think, within the next month or so. And take care, Steve. I think within the next month or so, I would... Hey, Michelle, ¿cómo estás? I didn't know you were here. How you doing? ¿Cómo está tu madre? So, and then we are... hola! Okay, so we are just working on the details in the shadow area there. Okay. And then over here we have a little bit of a light area here. Oh, muy bien. Gracias a Dios. There we go. So as you can see, we have that hand starting to turn, and that's pretty cool. And now what we can do is we can go ahead and work on the hair. Let's go ahead and start doing that. So that would be really good. Mike S says, Tim, there are different hardnesses in pastel pencils like HB and H. In pastel pencils, not really. The brands are usually very hard in pastels, Mike. You're going to find grades of pastel in different brands. Let's say going from the hardest pastels with credit color, that's your regular pastel sticks, they're going to be very hard. Then you're going to go to, let's say, other pastels such as Rembrandt is going to be a little softer. And then in progression you have Holbein, Winsor & Newton. Then you have other brands like Art Spectrum, Schminke, which is a German company, and then Sennelier, which is a French company. So yeah, you're going to see those differences. Wendy says she likes Conte. Yeah, that's not a new in the game as far as pastels. They were big with Conte crayon back in the day. I'm going to take this fabric pencil, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing some individual hairs here and there. Nothing too crazy, but I'm going to start hitting some of those light hairs. And what it's going to do is we're just going to start to create some more volume and texture in her hair. It's going to go a long way, and I can actually dust over that with the airbrush to make them darker and go over them again. So this is something that I'm going to pretty much put down and leave. Like I said, this is not as forgiving as your pastel pencil. You're not going to be able to just, scrape it away. Willie says, it must be getting late. I can't even understand what Tim is saying. Well, I don't even understand what I'm saying half the time there, Bill. So, Willie, so don't worry about it. My guest says, oh my God, how do you know what one will need with those different brands and hardness? Just experience, my friend. Over time, you sort of know instinctively what particular pastel to use. And also, with pastels, you get very, how do you say, just more in tune as to what color, what brand to use. Sometimes painting gets kind of repetitive at times. So I'm just making sure I'm doing some of those errant hairs, those hairs that are sort of wayward hairs, and putting them in. There we go. See, just different hairs here and there. I'm going to dust over this, but it's nice to just really get a feel of the texture of a hair, what's happening. And we're not even close to being finished. We're just hitting some of these areas. We're going to go over it again, and we're going to come over with some dark accents, and we'll come back with the with this stuff, which we all love, is the blackbeard wheat, which is going to create some texture with the hair as well. So it's really pretty cool. The expensive ones are similar. Yeah, the very expensive, like Sennelier, Sminky, they're very expensive because they're filled with pigment, and that's what really makes them very, remember, the more binder to any kind of paint or airbrush paint or whatever, the more binder, less pigment, meaning more of a student grade. So you definitely want something with the most binder as possible. It's going to give you the most saturation. You can always lower the saturation, but if it doesn't have saturation, then you really have nowhere to go. I know this is a black and white demo here, but yeah, color theory is very in-depth. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come back with our little guy here with the very light mixture. And my guest says, yeah, but having to buy all those to find ones you want seems like it would cost a lot. It does over time, and I think what you do is you just, you get yourself a couple of sets where you can, get yourself a portrait set, maybe by Rembrandt. They have a 90-piece portrait set, and that's good. Maybe a credit color set, so that would be very good to start out with. And then just go ahead and buy, little loose ones here and there. But even there, it's pricey. But that's something you build over time if you're, serious about pastel painting. It's not an inexpensive medium, that's for sure. Hold on one second, guys. I'll be right back, okay? Just one moment. Okay, I'm back. So let's see here. So let's see. So I was looking at a set of good pastels. It's like $3,000. Pastels are something that you really have to build up, guys, because of the. Let's go ahead and add some of the shadow here. There we go. Just create some volume here. And then let's go ahead and work on her hair a little bit. So I think we're going to have one more week. I was thinking maybe on a cusp. Are we going to finish it this week? I don't think so. I think one more week and we're really going to just pull her all together, which is going to be great. But we are close to completion though, right? I mean, she is looking pretty close to done. But I think next week will be good to actually go ahead and maybe show you how I complete a painting, the little tweaks I do to get it to that finished look. Wendy says, anything from Faber-Castell or my brain is blank, but professional artist grade is going to be good. Yeah, you definitely want professional artist grade. Just so the fact is that, when you get the student grade, you're getting stuff that is really horrible quality. Hardly any, it has hardly any pigment, and it has a lot of binder. So it's going to yellow, it's going to fade. I remember my teacher back in our art and design high school said, God bless you if you create the masterpiece of your life. You don't want it to be using crappy paint. And I think that's so true, it's so important. My guest says, Tim, did you take the high roller trigger off your arrow? Most definitely. I hated it. And I just like the fact that this is perfect. It feels like other airbrushes I worked with. And, it's nice. I think it's a good idea and it's a good concept. But for me and my likes and dislikes, I don't like it. So I just switched it off. I just purchased a regular trigger, a regular Sotar trigger, and put it right on there. And it's just really nice. And it's sort of customized. That's the great thing about Badger. One of the great things is you can customize your airbrushes. You can change things out, which is really great. The whole idea about the high roller trigger is that it takes less time to pull it back, but I want something that's going to work the way I'm used to it working, accustomed. I want things to pretty much work more towards mine. Oh, Bradley, his regular trigger should be here tomorrow. Thank God, yes. What do you feel about that trigger? Have you tried it? It didn't work for me. I didn't like it as much. How do you feel about it? I just felt it was a little strange for my liking, Oh, let me put that over here so you guys can see me working with my reference. Hey, you guys see my coffee over here. You see that? I tried it for 2 weeks, but at the end, it went in the trash. Yeah, I found that it just wasn't worth me, right? Oh, Willie said he tried it with the high roller trigger. Wow, I'll tell you, that's something. So I don't think I'm off base that the high roller trigger is something that is cumbersome to actually get used to, right? And so definitely. So Willie and Bradley. So Bradley said it felt weird. I guess I'm just used to the short trigger. Yeah, it's just something that the payoff is not worth getting used to. And that's how I feel. I don't think the payoff is used to me changing the way I paint. And I think, to me it pulled back and more paint came out. Yes, Wendy, coffee I definitely need it tonight. I don't know why. Just one of those days, kind of dragging today. So I want to show you something that I've been working with this airbrush today. Just, how I work with one. So this is what you can do with this airbrush, which is so amazing. This particular airbrush, the Extreme Patriot Arrow, you can really get in there and just do this like tight detail. And it's just fantastic. I don't think, this and the Sotar, I don't think anything feels as good to me as these two airbrushes. It just is really amazing. It just feels like I can draw with the airbrush. Wendy goes, ooh la la, that's funny. But as you can see, you really can get a sense of the control that you can get with these two airbrushes. And I think that high roller trigger, which you can see my high roller trigger is not on my airbrush, was just too much to get used to. I think it's someone going into airbrush more open-minded and haven't been doing it that long. I think it's very important to, you know, do that. So I'm, I definitely, I want to have, some, my own version of the Patriot, the Extreme Patriot Arrow. There's some things I would want to change that I think is perfect for ink, and I want to talk to, see if anybody would be interested in anything like that. Sort of a ink master version of the Patriot or something like that. I think that would be pretty cool. So as you can see, we worked in airbrush, then we did the dark accents, right? And then we went to the white pastel, and now we're going back in with the light India ink. Willie says, Tim, it's amazing what you can do at such a small size. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you, Willie. Bradley says, Tim, not to change the subject, but how do you sell your art? Do you have an art gallery with your work in it or a web page? I sell a lot of my work through collectors who have been buying my work for years. I do sell some work on some of the websites like Etsy and eBay at times and stuff like that. But yeah, just basically word of mouth. That happens a lot. It's not easy. You really have to market yourself, and it's just crazy. So I've always worked small, and one of the things I talked about, like why I worked small when I was a kid growing up in New York during my teen years. I used to work on the dining room table, so I could never paint big. I always painted small. So it's just like what I'm accustomed to. I have worked big before. And it is easier working big, but it's not as comfortable, right? And I think that's what's interesting. Let's see. So, take the air screw off thing. Now, what's that, Willie? The air screw off. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, you mean the Mac valve screw, Willie? So I'm not sure. Just you guys to explain that. I'm sort of lost. That doesn't happen too. That happens a lot. Where I get lost. Oh, I have one of those thingy majigs. Okay, you guys really lost me there. The Mac valve. I always use the Iwata Mac valve is what I like. I think they're the best Mac valves right now. I gotta give it to them. They make the best Mac valves, the most reliable, also the most expensive, but they are the best. To take off my Mac valve, I wouldn't take it off. That's for sure. I need it. I mean, the Mac valve is it's how I do the micro adjusting. But if you could ask that question one more time about that. Mike S says you can't move the Mac valve adjust screw, it will leak air. If I pulled this all the way off, yeah, that will leak air because this is connected. If I unscrew this, everything goes crazy. Wendy says Iwata makes the best Mac valve. Most definitely. Right now they do. So I call it like it is, Iwata, I think, makes the best airbrushes. But right now, the Mac valve, you gotta go with the with the Iwata. Let's see. So spend a little extra money, get the Iwata Mac valve. And Wendy says, Willie says that's what the 105 needs. Yes. Yeah, but I still like my Iwata Mac valve. I won't use this one. I like this one. So I will definitely, I don't like changing things up. If it's not broken, I don't fix it. No, the one in front of the airbrush, this one, if you take this off, the air is going to leak. Actually, not only the air will leak out, but also the ink will come out. So I just keep it really tight and I don't bother with it. Like I said, I do like the way this look. That's like the way it feels. So I stick with it and I don't really change too much. If I'm getting the exact, see, the thing is, if I'm getting the exact quality of the paint and everything, I'm not going to change it. I feel that would not be a good thing. But those who haven't used Mac valves before and they see that, that would be really good. Bradley says, I just bought 3 and I'm going to have to use them. I'll tell you, these are amazing. These are the best. You know, you're going to find, Bradley, that hands down it's the best quality you can buy. Wendy says, the one I have is plastic. Tim, yours looks metal. No, this is metal. If you purchase the Iwata, it has to be metal. Unless you got an Iwata knockoff or something. That's scary. Willie says they need to get rid of it. Tell Badger. Well, this is okay. It's just that I don't need it, and I'm happy with this. You know, that's why I stick with it. But I don't really think it's needed. I think most of your artists are going to use a Mac valve anyway. And I agree. I don't think they do need that. I think it definitely could. It could be without, right? It doesn't have to be there. My guess is, Tim, just air will leak, ink will come through. Yeah, so never actually pull this off, that's for sure. Wendy says, Tim, I purchased the Iwata, I paid like $27 for it. All 3 of mine are plastic. They really shouldn't be plastic. All of mine are metal, yeah. Unless they're made with plastic now, but that's not good. They're all metal. That's interesting. We got to look into that. If they went plastic, then, you know, that doesn't bode well for Iwata. You know, I think the last one I purchased was about 2 years ago. I am low on funds, right? So I went ahead, and I'll show you this one here. This is one that I purchased right here. This is a real cheapo one by Masters, but it works. You know, it doesn't leak air or anything like that, but it's not as good as the Iwata one. But there's a link in the description field for the Iwata one if you're interested, I think. Mike says you can buy a regular arrow and add the extreme needle set tip and have the extreme arrow. You certainly can, definitely. But I do like the extreme. I think it's just a beautiful airbrush, and I just like it. And so definitely I definitely would go with the extreme Patriot arrow. Just modify it, you know. The great thing about these airbrushes, why I'm so gung-ho over Badger as opposed to Iwata. So let's say if, you know, all of a sudden I'm not getting, you know, I'm getting some irregular spray patterns. I cleaned it, and maybe the needle is a little worn, or the cone. I can get a new assembly, which is the needle and the cone inside and the air cap for like $8. So whenever I have a few extra bucks, I buy them. So rather than fiddle with it, you know, I can just go ahead and you know, just change it out for $8. So it's really cool. Wendy says she bought hers last year, and all of them on Amazon maybe 4 months ago. Bradley, did they dupe me? I don't know. I hope not. I'll look into it, Wendy, because they should be metal. So believe it or not, it's 11:24 already. I think we made some really good progress with this. What do you guys think? I think we are doing pretty good. We're just going to work on that hair next week, and then we're going to do the really, really dark accents, and then we're going to pull it all together, and then we're going to call Selena complete, and her portrait complete, and also I'm going to start having these portraits available, either going to do an eBay store or a store on inkflingers.com, not sure just yet. Let's see some questions here. Oh no, I barely touch mine and have them constantly reset them. I barely move them and they shut off. That's interesting. Yeah, they're all metal. They should be metal, Wendy. That's not good at all. I would double check. Heath says, looking great, Tim. Thanks, Heath. I appreciate that. Willie says, since I started painting with ink, I love Badger. Me too, I'll tell you. Bradley says it looks beautiful. Thank you, Bradley, and everybody. I appreciate that. So, I think we made some really good progress today, and, I was able to, you know, hear some stories with you guys and hang out, and that's what it's all about. That's what really, I love, is just hanging out with you guys every Wednesday. See how I put that little dark right there, how that hand sort of comes close further, which is really nice. Willie says, I can't believe how fast time goes by. Willie, me too, man. Great to see you. Take care. I'm going to do another speed painting this week. I'm going to do one speed painting, Tim's 2-Minute Tech Tuesday, and I'm also going to do this live stream. So I'm going to up it up to 3 videos a week, guys, which is going to be pretty cool. It's not going to be easy, but we are definitely going to, boost the channel a little bit and get a little bit more work on it. I'm going to be hitting 200 videos soon. That's going to be pretty cool. Thanks to you guys and your support for that. Wendy says, beautiful, Tim. I appreciate that. Willie says, Tim, I'm waiting for your store to go live. Thank you, Willie. I appreciate that. Yes, pretty soon. So I started with PayPal, and they're getting back to me to give me the business account. So that's going to be pretty soon. And then, one of the reasons why I'm doing the Tech Tuesdays and the speed painting is because I've been working on video editing to get those other videos up for sale, Wendy says, thanks, Mike. When I go home, I'm going to look at them closer, but pretty sure they are plastic. Oh, man. So we'll look at them. And they kind of have a plastic look about them. So we're going to check and see. But they should be. If not, you definitely got to contact Iwata. And they definitely should make that right. So what I'm going to do is dust over some of the lights in this hair, and then we can go ahead and create more volume as we go. And that's a mighty tiny screw. Oh, let's see. Well, just to get you by till you get metal ones. Oh, okay, sold by National Art Supply. Okay. And then here we can just go ahead and maybe increase some of these mid-tones now that we put in the light and the dark accents. So we could go ahead and make this cheek turn a little better. It just softens things up, guys, which is really nice. It's really nice when things start to soften up. And with this light mixture, guys, that I have, this very light mixture, you have just amazing control. Meaning you're going so light that with several passes you start getting a tone, and it just spells control. Oh, okay. We don't. Okay. See, Wendy, Tim sees the link, but we don't in chat. I see. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we come to the end already, guys. So this was really good. I really enjoyed part 4. So there's going to be a part 5 after all. Bradley says, I just asked Tim for the link to the Mac valve he uses. Yes, that's what I did. And that's how... but definitely check that out. It might not be plastic. It might just appear plastic, Wendy, but definitely check that out. If that is the case, we have a real case to go after Iwata and have them make this right. So they will make it right, I hope. So we'll see. But guys, thank you so much. I really love hanging out with you, and so far this is how far we've gotten, which is really cool. I am going to go here. So this is another Wednesday in the books. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget Tim's 2-Minute Tech Tuesday coming up. For all you moms out there, happy Mother's Day. And I hope you have a great weekend. And I'm going to do a speed painting as well and try to open up that store. Everyone, thank you so much for being a good friend and joining the live stream and joining this community. I'll see you guys on Ink Flingers. So guys, I hope you have a great week, and take care, everybody.